Qlik back again. Today we're going to be looking at the Snowflake usage application version 5.0. Version 5.0 takes a deviated course from our previous versions. When David Ferrix and I started this project, we looked at simply loading a Snowflake tenant, getting all the information for it. As we proceeded up and worked with deploying it to many more customers, we began realizing there was an awful lot more than one Snowflake tenant in many organizations. There's a lot more than that just within Qlik. So it was no surprise to us. As it continued to build, the way that we did it was rolling through the Snowflake instances and pulling all of the data for all time. And we would simply store that into QVDs and then create incremental loads and go get newer and newer data, which worked great until you were an organization that maybe had billions of query history records. And so what we wanted to do for those who really wanted to focus on query performance was kind of break the mold a little bit. And so we ended up creating version 4.0, which brought the data in, aggregated up queries based on certain factors, gave you total numbers. But if you wanted to focus on a user's queries or queries that ran a really long time, we used on-demand application generation. So with version 4.0, it was pretty heavy Qlik code for many customers, and a lot just weren't prepared for that. So what we've done with version 5.0 is we've really simplified things. We said, look, we want to get the usage, but we want to make it such that it's pretty easy to deploy for anyone. So what you'll see, and pay attention because there's going to be a follow-up video for this. It's kind of a how-to working with the code behind the scenes for version 5.0. But basically, in a nutshell, we say, tell us how many rolling days you want, and we go get the data live each time. No worrying about identifying where you're going to store your QVD files. No worrying about understanding incremental loads. We simply go get the data live each time in a rolling fashion, and we put much more focus this time on the performance dashboard and how we analyze queries. So all of the other things are still there. You can look at it from all of your instances. Notice here that this instance is very, very small as it relates to how many credits are being used. This is where I would clearly want to place my focus if I was trying to analyze this. One of the charts that we had built out fairly early on was showing you how many credits you've purchased and how many you've used. Well, clearly we still have that, but I'm just looking at a rolling 14 days of data. What I would need to do, if you still want to use this type of chart and you're looking at still, hey, the rolling days fits me, you'll need to modify this so that you could take your credits, divide it by however many days, and so that you could get a more accurate picture. Because this looks like I'm doing great, when in reality this is 14 days, but I'm looking at total yearly credits. And so maybe I need to break that down a little bit. So hopefully that makes sense for you. We've got all the other things. I can look at where users are. In my screen, I hash the usernames so that I'm not showing you who our real usernames are internally, just kind of as a privacy measure. But you can see we look at IPs and blah, 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 blah. I have all of the queries here. So rather than just being aggregates, I can let you look at who's running which queries. I can say, hey, let me take a look at just my select queries, and I can give you each and every one, how long they took, what the warehouse size is, whether they worked or not. So I can look at where they failed. I can say, when are these queries running, so that I can find out time-wise when I've got them. I can look at statistics. So I can look at that same query is running multiple times. I can look at the minimum execution time, the maximum execution time, and I might want to focus on the range of why does it run faster at one particular time than others. Are all of them, most of them high and one is low? Those kind of things. So because we have all the query history here, not in a separate application you'd have to use with ODAG, you can get that in the same application you focus on with your costing. One of the biggest change though was being able to take advantage of Snowflake's query performance statistic function. Again, take a look at the follow-up to this video that shows you the how-to, but from a high level, here's the idea. I'm looking at this and I say, what in the world happened with this query? It took 7 hours to run and I spilled 7 trillion bytes of data to disk. I need to analyze that query. So I'm going to focus just on this one query, and I can press this button that says go get the performance statistics, and it's doing this live by using a partial reload. So I take the query ID, pass it to my code, I go get this live, and then I can explore these details visually. This particular visual happens to be in my Snowflake usage dashboard. This is an infinity form control. So this is used for process flow, execution flow, and I think this flow fit perfectly for what I'm looking at here, where I'm looking at my query performance and the flow. You can see that each type of node can have its own visual. And the beautiful thing is I can hover over nodes so that I can get more details. Don't worry though, you say, oh gosh, it looks beautiful, but we don't have infinity flow. That's okay. In the base application, the one that you will have downloaded, you'll get to see this in a Qlik org chart. So I still color the ones that Snowflake defines as being issues orange, all the rest are colored in blue. And you can still see every single one of those nodes all the way down and kind of understand what that execution plan was, or what they're calling the query performance. There's several key things that in one of the Snowflake blogs by Keith Smith pointed out 4 particular things. So if I find any of those things in that particular query, I'll show it to you. And all you have to do to try to get an understanding of it is simply click on the term, and it's going to bring that right up in the... And you get to see what Snowflake recommends as things that you could do to optimize that query and speed it up so that you're not looking at data that would have taken 7 hours and 17 seconds in order to run. So I think that's a super helpful function for you and was an important part of what we did in Snowflake Usage 5. Again, if you need more information on this, if you're a Qlik SA looking to deploy this for your customers, or you're in professional services deploying it, or you're one of our customers, make sure you watch the how-to video where I walk you through the code behind all this. As always, have a great day.